My 8-year-old told me 3 different versions of the same story, and I almost sent an email that would have destroyed my relationship with his teacher. In this video, I'm sharing the real secret to getting tweens to open up, 5 practical steps you can use in any moment, and the 3 common mistakes that shut your tween down. At the end, I'll show you why this phase isn't about losing your child. It's actually the moment you earn the relationship that they'll bring into their teenage years. I'm sitting at my laptop with this email pulled up, addressed to my son's teacher, with the head of primary copied, and my finger is literally hovering over send. My heart is pounding and my jaw is clenched. Then my phone rings. It's my husband calling me from overseas. He's 4 hours behind and is just waking up. "What's going on?" he asks. I can hear it in my voice. I'm so wound up. So I read him all 3 paragraphs of the very thorough, very detailed email, recapping how my 8-year-old was accused of cheating in math. He listens, and then there's this pause. And he says, "Okay, but did you double check with him that that's actually what his teacher said?" I want to throw the phone at him. Of course that's what she said. I asked him 3 times this morning. But I don't send the email. I save it as a draft. Just one day before, I told my son we needed to leave for his parent-teacher meeting. He was in the green armchair with a book, and he just lost it. He had a full meltdown. "No, I don't want to come to the parent-teacher meeting." I got him to sit down with me and I asked him, "Why don't you want to come?" And his voice went quiet. He said, "It makes me anxious." Anxious. He's 8. I'm pretty sure I didn't know what that word meant when I was 8. I kept asking him questions, trying to figure out what was really going on. He was squirming, trying to get away, giving me, "I don't know," for every question. Then I asked him how he thought his teacher would say he's doing at math, and that's when he looked right at me. His voice got louder and faster, and he said, "It's good, but my teacher keeps telling me to write the carryovers, and when I don't, she says I'm cheating by using a calculator." And there it was. First, I felt relieved. Okay, I got through to him. I know what's wrong. Then about 5 seconds later, the anger kicked in. My kid is being accused of cheating without anyone verifying, without calling me. The meeting was even worse. The teacher brushed past my concerns, said something about procedures and how he has to show his working. And then she looked at her watch and she started standing up while I was still talking, saying, "I'm really sorry, but I have the next meeting." I walked out of there feeling so dismissed, so small, and angry, like really, really angry. That's when I wrote the email. So when my son gets home from school, I call him over to my laptop and I show him the draft. And I tell him this is going to the principal. So you need to be absolutely sure. Is this what your teacher said? He reads it, looks up at me and says, "Well, she said if I don't write my working, the inspector might think I cheated by using a calculator." I just stare at him. "The inspector?" He goes, "Yeah, the inspector comes to check our books. And if there's no working, they might think I used a calculator." I close the laptop. Oh my God. This is not the same story at all. In his head, the inspector might think turned into my teacher is saying I'm cheating. And in my head, already wound up and ready for a fight, I just ran with it. I didn't verify, I didn't dig deeper. If I had sent that email, I would have looked completely unhinged. I would have destroyed any kind of working relationship with his teacher, who was actually just trying to prepare him for an inspection. And I would have taught my son that his mother can't stay calm enough to get the full story before just going off. Thank goodness my husband asked that annoying question. My son told me 3 different versions of the same story because he was anxious, he was dysregulated, and I was so focused on getting the facts, asking the same question over and over, that I completely missed what was happening underneath. He wasn't being unclear because he was lying or because he was confused. He was unclear because he had big feelings that he couldn't sort through yet. And I was so ready to fight for him that I forgot to just be with him first, to help him settle, to help him feel safe enough to untangle it himself. Kids don't give us clear stories when they're wound up, and we can't get clear stories when we're wound up either. The bravest thing I did that day wasn't writing that email. It was actually not sending it. But the smartest thing I could have done 3 days prior was to respond to his anxiety first and his words second. We think tweens don't talk because we're not asking the right question, but that's not the issue. Tweens talk when you make it emotionally safe for them to share something imperfect. And that doesn't come from your words, it comes from your energy in the moment. Here's what's happening developmentally. Tweens are having adult-sized feelings in a body that doesn't know what to do with them yet. Their emotional center is flooded. Logic isn't accessible. They literally can't explain what's wrong in a coherent way because they don't understand it themselves. So when they say something dramatic like, I hate school, or math is impossible, or no one likes me, they're not giving you the facts, they're giving you the feeling. And if we jump straight to correcting the sentence, that's not true, you have friends, or trying to solve it, what happened, who said what? We miss the whole point. They feel unseen and then they shut down. What they actually need is for someone to stay steady while they're falling apart, to witness the big feeling without trying to fix it, dismiss it, or logic them out of it. Our kids are watching us. They're not just telling us what happens, they're testing. Is it safe to bring messy, confusing, not yet figured out feelings to this person? Or will they panic? Will they take over? Will they make me feel stupid for feeling this way? And the answer to that question determines whether they keep talking to you through the teenage years or whether they stop. This really comes down to being a regulated parent, not a perfect one. When your nervous system is calm, theirs can settle. When you're present without pressure, they have the space to untangle their own thoughts. When you respond to the emotion underneath instead of the words on the surface, they feel safe enough to keep going. That's the real connection secret. Emotion first, words later. Okay, so how do you actually do this in real life? Let me walk you through 5 steps that work in the moment, whether your tween is melting down or just dropping a casual comment that's actually a bid for connection. These are like breadcrumbs on a trail. They're easy to miss if you're not looking. Your tween mentions a friend issue casually while you're cooking dinner. They complain dramatically about their homework. They say, I hate you, in a spike of emotion. They slam the door and then hover nearby. Our instinct is to think, that's disrespect, that's a tantrum, that's just complaining. But actually, these are bids for connection. They're testing. Can I bring this feeling to you? Will you stay steady or will you shut me down? So the first step is just to notice. Don't dismiss it, don't write it off as just drama. Catch the moment for what it is, an opening. This is the hardest one because everything in you wants to react immediately. But think of it like the silence between notes in music. That's where the meaning lives. Here's what you do. Breathe once, literally 1 breath. Get out of fixing mode. Remove the urgency from your voice. Because when you pause, you give your nervous system a second to settle. And when you're calm, they can borrow that calm from you. Your regulated nervous system is their open channel. If you're wound up, they feel it and then they shut down. So pause just for a beat. That 1 breath gives them permission to settle too. This is where most of us get it wrong. You need to be a mirror, not a mechanic. Your tween says, math is impossible. And you say, math isn't hard for you. You got an A last week. Or they say, no one likes me. And you say, that's not true. What about Sarah? Here we're trying to fix the sentence. But that's not what they need. They need you to reflect the feeling underneath. So instead of, what did she say? Try, that must have felt awful. Instead of math isn't hard for you, try you're really frustrated right now. Instead of don't be dramatic, try it feels huge in your body right now. You're not agreeing with the facts, you're acknowledging the emotion. And when you do that, their nervous system starts to settle, their emotion regulates, and then the words start to flow. Okay, so your tween just shared something. Finally, they opened up. And now every instinct in you says, this is my chance. I need to get all of the information. I need to teach them something. I need to tell them about the time that I went through this. Don't. Think of it like holding a door open, not pushing them through it. Because the second you turn their vulnerability into a lecture or a rapid-fire interrogation or your own story, they feel hijacked and then they don't come back. So avoid turning their share into a teaching moment, asking a million follow-up questions, pushing for details that they're not ready to give, and inserting your own story too fast. Just be with them. Let them lead the pace. The door stays open longer when you're not trying to control what walks through it. You don't have to solve it right now. In fact, you shouldn't. Think of it like letting bread dough rise before you shape it. When they're dysregulated, logic doesn't work, problem solving doesn't work, strategy doesn't work. So you attend to the emotion first. You stay with them, you let them settle. And then later when they're calm, that's when you circle back. You might say, hey, earlier you seemed really upset about math. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to just listen? That question, do you want help or do you want me to listen, is gold, because it teaches them emotional literacy. It gives them autonomy. It shows them you get to choose how this goes. I'm not taking over. And that's how you build a tween who actually wants to keep talking to you. Okay, so those are the 5 steps. But before we wrap up, I want to show you the 3 mistakes that shut this whole thing down, because I've made all of them and they're so easy to fall into. Mistake 1, correcting their narrative. Your tween says, "My teacher hates me." And you immediately say, "She doesn't hate you. She didn't mean it like that." Or they say, "I'm terrible at math." And you say, "That's not true. You're overreacting." Here's what happens when you do this. They feel dismissed. You're telling them that their perception is wrong, that their feeling is invalid. And the message they hear is, "Don't bring messy, confusing thoughts to me. I'll just correct you." So they stop bringing them. I did this with my son. He said, "My teacher says I'm cheating." And instead of reflecting the anxiety underneath, I ran with the sentence. I built an entire case around words that he couldn't even explain yet. If you want them to keep talking, you have to let their narrative be messy. You don't have to agree with it, but you can't shut it down either. Mistake 2, asking too many questions. They're finally opening up, they mention something, and you jump in. "Wait, what happened? Who said what? When was this? What did you say back? Why didn't you tell me this sooner?" It feels like an interrogation. And tweens can't always answer those questions. They don't have the emotional vocabulary yet. They're still figuring it out themselves. So when you rapid fire questions at them, they feel cornered, overwhelmed, and then they withdraw. I did this too. I kept asking my son the same question over and over, trying to get clarity. But all I was doing was making him more anxious. If you want them to share more, ask less. Just be there. Let them unfold it at their own pace. Mistake 3 is fixing everything. They share a problem and immediately you go into solution mode. "Okay, here's what you should do. Let me talk to the teacher. Next time, just say this." But what you miss is that they didn't come to you for a solution. They came to you for connection. When you fix the surface issue, you miss the emotional need underneath. And then the message they get is, "My feelings aren't important, just the facts." So then they stop coming to you with feelings. They only come when they absolutely need you to intervene, and eventually they'll stop coming at all. The hardest part of parenting tweens isn't solving their problems, it's resisting the urge to solve them before they've even fully shared them. Tweens are between worlds. They have adult-sized feelings in a child's body. They're still learning to name emotions. They don't understand their moods any more than you do. And they're terrified of losing your approval. So every time they test the waters with a dramatic statement or a door slam or a quiet confession, they're really asking, "Can I be imperfect with you? Can I be confused and contradictory and not have it all figured out yet?" And the answer you give, not with your words, but with your presence and energy, teaches regulation more than your words ever will. When you stay calm while they're dysregulated, you're teaching them big feelings don't break us. When you reflect their emotion without fixing it, you're teaching them you're safe here even when you're messy. When you hold the door open and let them lead, you're teaching them I trust you to figure this out. This phase is not about losing your child. It's the moment where you'll earn the relationship that they're going to bring into their teenage years. The tweens who feel safe being imperfect with you now, those are the teenagers who will actually want to talk to you later. The ones who feel judged, cornered, or rushed, those are the ones who stop sharing, who pull away, who handle everything on their own because it's easier than risking your reaction. So when your tween slams the door and hovers nearby, when they mumble something at dinner and wait to see if you notice, when they say something dramatic and watch your face, that's not defiance or disrespect. That's actually an invitation. And how you respond right now, today, this week, in those small messy moments, that's what builds the bridge into their teenage years. So this week, when your tween says something dramatic, when they complain about homework or mention a friend issue in passing, or slam a door and then hover nearby, pause. Drop into the emotion underneath, reflect it quietly, and then see what happens. The door opens more often when we're not trying to push it. And if you're thinking, okay, but how do I even find time for this kind of connection when life is so chaotic? I made a video for you. It walks through the small intentional moments that actually create closeness with our kids, even when the schedule is packed and you feel like you're barely keeping your head above water. I'll link it right here. Go watch it next. It's the perfect follow-up to what we just talked about. And if this video helped you see tween communication differently, I'd love it if you share it with another parent who's struggling to get their tween to open up. Sometimes we all just need to know that we're not the only ones getting it wrong before figuring out how to get it right. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.